if I move in physical space with the ignorance of stable identity, I'm thoroughly incapable to observe the origin of each motion, which is what is the logical field that sustains the meaning of any sequence of motion. And there is something so brutally impossible to tame, so brutally impossible to tame, like the comfort of standing in this physical identity and moving as if moving in the ignorance of the physical presence, moving in this comfortable ignorance of a stable physical presence. Come on, what do you mean? What the fuck does this mean? How the fuck do you make it like active? How do you make it active? How do you make it fucking active in the fabric of your existence? This is the whole purpose of my today. I have my hand on this animal of insight, this animal of truth. I can anchor into fields of memory where it was so present and so clear. But how do I make it permanent? How do I make it a stable part of my system, stable organ in my world, a stable law of the architecture of my existence? Somehow it makes sense that you need to deconstruct very fundamental parts or fundamental laws that kind of occupy so much of your field of attention, so as to make space for the beasts of truth. Just attain some fluid, some organic capacity in this method, which is the method of the symbolic body, which is attain postural clarity as the tool for clarifying, for stabilizing positions in time. Attain the symbolic capacity of postural clarity. Attain the symbolic capacity of postural clarity. Attain the symbolic capacity of postural clarity. You just repeat these obscure words until this stupid body can get a grip on their nature. When this body can be just disciplined into the nature of such words. And you ask yourself questions like this: why is it so brutally improbable? Why is it so brutally impossible for me to just clarify a certain attitude or presence to make it stable and real? And like, you know it's not impossible, but nonetheless is not likely, or it's not impossible, but it's just brutally difficult. What? I know the taste of standing in some realization, but I have no means of accessing it organically and holding it and stabilizing it. Okay, I just need to clarify this. Just need to tame this motherfucker, okay? Say some brutal shit, like, I want to resurrect the Buddha. That would be brutal enough to hold your attention for a bit. What does it mean to resurrect the fucking Buddha? In that realm of realization, which is related to Buddhist practice and Buddhist scripture, stands this insight, the courage of this insight. I need to have a firm, clear, crystal grip on it. I need to destroy the morphologies of memory that are related to it. I need to destroy all the resonance of myths and stories that belong to this world, so as to make it real in my field. To make it real in my field means to engage the powers of attention in its pure life. How does this, the thrill of this truth, 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 the thrill of the cold, clear diamond waters of this truth, the thrill of the clear diamond waters of this truth. How do I give it the appropriate body in this reality, in this present moment, in this present configuration of story? I just need to remove, like, this fucking this monster of distance, which is space. The stupid, monstrous necessity of space. What do you mean, man? Oh, I mean something really clear. I am far from my daughters. I am far from the others, at least in physical distance. There are 500 kilometers between us. Is that clear? Is that fucking clear? Is that a clear sentence? Is that a sentence happening in the conventional frame of logic? Is that clear to you? There is 500 kilometers between us. Is that rational? Okay. I keep my hand into the clear diamond water of this insight that I want to have as my partner, that I want to partner, to marry, to unite with. I want to give it a body in my world, and I will honor it so that it will give it the body of a physical law. This is how I love you. If I love some fucking piece of truth, if I can stretch my fibers of spirit into the clear taste of ecstasy, of reaching truth, like some crazy, wild, scathing truth. What do you mean? This moment where the arrows or the spears of conventional instinct, like the instinct of all the voices resonating in your stupid DNA as objections to what you can hold as truth, which is some kind of force that consolidates clarity or consolidates attainment when it is transformed into ecstasy. When the spears of objection are transformed into ecstasy, you get a clear grip on the substance of truth, or the joy, the pure enthusiasm of a certain truth. I remember this. I can remember this. I remember the force of what Wittgenstein means when he says, what cannot be said must remain unsaid. And who has the bones to stand in the meaning of that sentence? What cannot be said must remain unsaid. What cannot be said must remain unsaid. Where is that possible substance of a skeleton that could live in the field of that insight? Who can live in that insight? Tell me. This is the very question of my method. Who can live in the reality which is enlightened by that insight? Which relates to stop fucking projecting ignorant structures onto pure experience. Which means stop deluding yourself in the very fabric of how you define pure experience, your most intimate, most precious forms of experience. You delude yourself in the ignorance of how you define them, because you confuse the structures of how life is possible in the physical realm with the domains of exact transcendental experience. And this is the very fucking dialogue between phenomenology and psychology. This is the courage of Husserl objecting to the prejudgments of psychology. Okay, just get into the real method. So the method is like this, just clarify it and make it functional. To make it functional means to attain the very fabric of absolute adventure, which is in the definition of ecstasy, in the definition of pure joy, in the definition of ecstatic energy of pure life force. So the very motive that stands in the spine of this method is how to attain absolute fulfillment of clarified life. Is that wild enough? So, you develop this clarified symbol like hand. The clarified symbol like hand that moves through the ruins of the ignorant definitions of space, like an eye. An eye liberated from the insidious structure of distance. An eye that is clarified the fuck out of duality. The all-seeing eye, right? You just hold it in your fucking palm. Come on. The very weapon of fearlessness, the very clear diamond of fearlessness, the very fucking clear diamond of fearlessness with which you can travel through any hells and any heavens without being confused, without being distorted. Oh, come on. So let's stay here. Just tell yourself this. Stay there. Stay in this insight. Stay there. Just fucking stay there. Get your hand on it. Get your hand on the true substance of it. Get your hand clear on the substance of it. Get your hand clear on the substance of it. Get your hand on that insight, which is there is no necessary structure of experience, not even in the most subtle transcendental domains. Whatever you may remember as the purest or deepest states, dreams, feelings, whatever it is, everything is shaped through the process of constitution. Having a clear grip on the nature of this basic phenomenological insight gives you like perfect fearlessness in any domain of existence. How isn't that something desirable? Isn't that something desirable? So then keep your hand in the symbolic capacity. Keep your fucking hand in the symbolic capacity. Establish the symbolic space. Establish the logical space. Establish the organs for the birth into the logical space. Come on. I can even act in the logic of prayer and say, if I say to myself, I love the Buddha, or I want to produce such a body of the Buddha that is permanently, actively part of my reality in a most overwhelming fucking real way. I have established the nature of this adventure today. And then I can just travel in very basic forms of memory where I can see The Buddha has the capacity of skillful means, which means to create what is most adequately functional. The capacity of skillful means. Produce the most effective tool in order to attain the fruit, the result, the realization. The most compassionate purpose, right? So in the conventional image of what the Buddha is, you have this quality. So how does that work in your realm? Grip the tip of the unusual slip. Grip that fierce tip of the trip of the deeper slip. Grip the firm tip of the trip of the most unusual, fundamental slip. Permission slip. Grip the fiercely piercing tip of the brutally insidious slip. Make it work for you. Make it work for you. I will turn this into the central equation of this process. In the transcendental realm, the duality of standing in a preformed experience is the poison. There is a crucial taste of this poison. There is a crucial fucking taste of this poison, which is mathematics is not discovery. Mathematics is not fucking discovery. Mathematics is not discovery. Mathematics is invention. There is no necessary structure in this reality. There is no fucking necessary structure in all domains of experience. Any of them. There is no necessary structure in any of the domains of possible experience. There is no necessary structure, no predetermined, preconfigured structure in any domain of experience. There is no predetermined necessary structure in any domain of experience. That would be a nice song. Okay. Mathematics is not discovery. In the domains of pure transcendental experience, there is no duality. So stop confusing realms. We want to make it clear thus. redefine what space is. Stand with the brutal madness of such a sentence. You have the freedom to move through space, which blinds you from the freedom to move through the flesh of story. You are blinded by the freedom of motion. You are blinded by the inertial freedom of movement through space. You are blinded by a small spectrum of freedom, which is the capacity to move through physical space. You are blinded by a small spectrum of freedom. Mathematics is not discovery. There is nothing necessary in any of the domains of experience. Now go into there is nothing necessary, not even in the domain of emotion or pain or sensation or perception. There is nothing necessary. All is constituted transcendentally. What makes it necessary is the very fabric of ignorance, of standing in the brutal ignorance of temporal causality, like the blindness of seeing the transcendental causality. Okay. How do I make this insight alive in me now? To love it in such a way so as to give it a body. Or produce a body that will allow you to live in the domain of this truth. There is a discipline of concentration. There is a discipline of concentration. So you travel through morphologies of experience. You have the experience here. You have the power that it gives you when you confront pain and you get liberated from it. So then you have a firm capacity to ground insight into most ecstatic realization or liberation. If you can travel through the taste of what it was, the experience. I was suffering because of the distance between us. I'm suffering because of the distance between us. I can transcend that suffering. I can interrogate on the nature of that very substance of suffering. So then I can ground the power of that liberation into my embodied love for this truth. Okay, be so crazy so as to make that motherfucker into present moment. To make that domain of insight into such a pervasive structure of existence, which is the very space. Right? Space is such a motherfucker. Space is such a persistent monstrous, brutal presence in your field of possibility. Space is such a brutal motherfucker. Distance. Stand with the resonance of what space is as defined by the notion of distance, or the experience of distance, or the pain of distance, or the unbearable possibility of distance. And then be so well equipped and be so thoroughly clear and motivated in the marrow of your purified madness so as to establish this. The flesh of pure space is your flesh. The flesh of physical space is your flesh. My very capacity of life, the very joy of the possibility of moving through space, the very core joy of any possible motion in this realm of freedom is clarified as your flesh. I take the diamond light of this insight and I place it in this spectrum of reverence with the skeleton of this advanced madness or capacity to contradict the very insidious instinctual tendency of how experience is formed, which is remember, there is an instinctual formation of experience which is deeply insidious, that kind of produces the most devastating distortions, the most devastating forms of distortion, forms of delusion, which is that which cannot be said must remain unsaid. That which cannot be said must remain unsaid. So where is that skeleton that can stay in the realm of such realization? Okay. I desire you thus. The pure possibility of moving through space, the pure possibility of moving through space, the pure joy of motion, the pure drive of exact life, exactly purified life. I can move my fucking hand through space. I can move my hand through space. I can move my hand through space. I can move my hand through space. Establish the nature of the postural clarity, the symbolic body, the body as a symbol of presence. The body has the capacity to establish story fields, to establish your presence in a logical place, which means travel through time. Why isn't this fucking clear already? If you can attain the symbol body and you can stabilize morphologies of horizon or morphologies of belief. This is the very nature of time travel. Or, okay, just stay with that courage, stay with that fucking courage. The very flesh of distance, the very flesh of distance, just produce this device, distance, pain, suffering, the very law of physical space. The diamond realization of transcendental vacuity. The insidious spectrum of delusion, the insidious spectrum of the insidious delusion. So just, you have this necessary painting. The flesh of pure physical space, the power of what a physical law is in our world. A physical law is something unquestionable. A physical law is something unquestionable. Now stand with that. Just spend time with where this sentence is. Physical law is something unquestionable. The distance between us, the unbearable distance between us, the unbearable distance between us, my incapacity to contradict what feeling is, my incapacity to interrogate the nature of how it feels, my fundamental incapacity to interrogate, to clarify, to confront what feeling is in this case. There is nothing necessary in all domains of possible existence. Get a grip on the diamond weapon of fearlessness. Get a grip on the nature of this weapon. Understand that any dream you may remember is necessarily produced in the structures of, in the architecture of the conscious mind. Anything that you make conscious in your memory, you will make it with this poison of distance. Anything in the pure space of your spirit, you will make it real. You will make it, you will stabilize it in distorted ways. That which cannot be said must remain unsaid. That which cannot be said must remain unsaid. Thus, if you meet the Buddha, kill the Buddha. just travel in the exact story space or the exact experiential environment, in the exact logical context where these sentences are relevant, or just be able to use this boiling force of standing in physical form, just this, just unite this motherfucker. Like you have the unbearable dictatorship of distance, or unbearable pain of distance, the unbearable pain of distance, the incapacity to contradict physical space, the incapacity to contradict pain, the feeling of distance. And you have simultaneously this newly established subversive substance in your bones, the subversive logic, which is founded on this truth. You must stand in the organic morphology of all of your domains of insight. It's like if you can stand in this tree, it's like a tree. When starting to engage the symphonies of awakened time, it is like a tree. But it's also the organicity of the tree. So whenever you try to stand in a sentence, you must be able to organize the context of its realization. So this is why this hand is moving in a totally different logic or a different capacity. This hand now is moving in your body. This hand now is the symbolic body. This hand is moving in the symbolic capacity, which is the capacity to discern moments in time, to discern types of context. Thus, it's not just handling sentences, it's handling sentences in their exact environment of realization. So this is the very fruit of this practice. Organizing your fucking mind in space. Organizing the libraries of time in physical space. Transforming the pure capacity of moving in space, the joy of the physical body, or this stable joy, this stable substance of play in physical space, into the symbolic precision of discerning contexts in time.